Vivek Ramaswamy, welcome back. I'm talking about capitalist punishment and my surprise that I actually learned something in a candidate book. Welcome.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that, Hugh. I try to, well, you know why? It's because I wrote this book before I knew it was a candidate, actually. So that might be why. Yeah.
Well, I didn't know about Jack Bogle, and I didn't know about the rise of index funds and then the rise of ETFs and how that has concentrated corporate control. Will you tell the story of that? Because I found that fascinating and new.
Yeah, so it's interesting because this started from a good place. Before, the way it used to work on Wall Street is you had people that would say, we can beat the market. You know, it's like there's a monkey analogy where they could use monkeys throwing darts at a board that would somehow outperform the mutual fund managers who claimed they could beat the market, because part of the reason why was net of the fees, the hefty fees that those mutual fund managers charge, they actually underperformed if they had just been a monkey throwing darts without a fee. So Jack Bogle, the founder of Vanguard, legendary hero in this industry, said that you don't need to pay those fees, just own the market, and I'm too dumb to pick stocks, but that is the brand. So that led to a rise of passive index fund investing that led to the rise of the likes of BlackRock and State Street and Vanguard, which today, just those three firms, manage over $20 trillion. That is about as much money as the US GDP in the hands of three firms. That's the largest aggregation of capital in private hands, I think, in human history, as we studied it and report in the book. Now, what's interesting is the very people who then said we're too dumb to pick your stocks started to say we're wise enough to know how to design an entire social universe. And so what they started to do was to use that money of everyday citizens to then tell the biggest companies like Apple that they needed to adopt racial equity audits, or Chevron that they had to adopt these emissions caps, without everyday citizens who put that money in index funds knowing that that's what they were doing. So that's the heart of this mystery, where people don't know, Hugh, that this is happening with their money. They don't just vote every November. It turns out they vote every day with their dollars without knowing it for racial equity policies and climate change policies that would have never passed Congress, but are being implemented through the back door with their own money, as these index fund managers mandate that companies in their boardrooms adopt these policies. Even when Apple and Chevron didn't initially want to adopt those policies, they had to, because the likes of BlackRock and State Street effectively made them through their shareholder votes, using your money, the money of people on this program probably, to do it. So that's what I explained.
Well, I don't think anybody quite understands, Vivek, what you have outlined here in great detail, is that when you go into an ETF or an index fund, you're actually ceding your money to the control of the big three or others, and the big three get those votes on corporate resolutions. I also wonder, do you think they're responding to market forces with climate change policies or DEI or ESG, or are they actually responding to peer in Manhattan pressure? In other words, they're trying to fit in with their peer points of cueing how to act.
There's a third answer, Hugh, and it's a more familiar suspect. It's the government. So what happens is that CalPERS and the state of New York, blue states, and I document this in the book, right? This book is about lifting the curtain. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. Okay, that's what the whole book is about. CalPERS founded the Climate Action 100 Plus network. They effectively require an asset manager to join that network in order to be eligible to receive money from CalPERS. The city and state of New York do the similar thing. So what that requires is these asset managers to say they will force their portfolio companies to align with these social and environmental goals. And if not, they can't manage the money of those big blue state pension funds. So this idea that it's the invisible hand of the free market, which is the myth you'll hear in, the standard media account of this, is a myth. And many Republicans fall for it too. It's the invisible fist of government lurking behind the scene.